for the toes exercise, we're going to focus on what we call the intrinsic foot muscles, which are really small muscles in our foot that control mostly the toes movements. Now, when you start these, it can be really frustrating, it can be really hard because sometimes nothing moves at all. But keep practicing. Your brain needs to relearn how to create those movements, how to isolate them, and it's just a matter of practice. So don't be discouraged if this is really hard for you at the start. I would suggest to start working on one foot at a time from a sitting position. Now I'm almost in a squatting sitting position. You don't have to do that at the start. You can be just on a normal chair working on one foot. But if you have problems in the squat and you already can do some of these exercises, this type of variation is quite good as well. So what we want to do is start with the foot planted on the ground. Try to spread your toes if you can, and the first movement is going to lifting the big toe only. So we're going to try to keep the other toes down onto the ground. You're going to lift the big toe up and down. As you can see, these muscles are going to tense up, and while you're doing this movement, you may also feel the arch, the inner arch of your foot really tensing up and contracting, which is what we want. Now, one thing to be careful of when we are moving that big toe up and down is to try to avoid rotating from the ankle. That's not really going to target the muscles as much. It's movement coming from the ankle. So nice and flat, up, down, up, down. Now the second movement, we reverse that. So this time the big toe is going to stay down and all the other toes are going to lift up. Down, up, down. As you can see, all these small muscles are tensing. You see the tendons probably popping out onto your foot and down. And you also will feel still the arch because you're pressing down hard with the big toe to create this movement. So you're going to feel this tension on the inner side of your foot, which is completely normal. It's actually what we want to learn to create that arch. Again, we want to be sure that we are not tilting from the ankle, we are not just rotating the foot. Now, if you really struggle with this, what you can do is kind of give yourself a little help. So on the first one, you'll kind of hold the other toes down and start lifting that. And while you're doing that, what I want you to really focus on is trying to feel what your body is doing, what your foot is doing. So if you start feeling a little bit of tension here, try to really understand what that feels like for you. So then when we remove the hand, we're going to try to find that feeling rather than just thinking at the movement. Will be the same for the toes. So I can hold my big toe at the beginning and do the other movement. Now the second part of this exercise is going to be the reverse. So we're going to lift all toes up as much as you can, and then from there we're going to hold the big toe up and only place the other toes down. And again, we can support this movement if needed. And then it will be the reverse of that, which is one of the most challenging for me, as you can see. So it's gonna go down just with the big toe, keeping the other toes up, without rotating from the ankle. And ideally, what we want to avoid is the other toes curling. I'm still working on this myself, but as you can see, down with the big toe. Again, I could support myself here to learn that movement and then relax.